Do you want to find out how Harry Potter turned his life around from addiction? Stay tuned for this next episode of Digest This.
Welcome to Digest This, the show that helps you revolutionize your digestive health. Here are your hosts, Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato.
Hello, and welcome to Digest This. I'm Dr. Liz Cruz, and I've got Tina Nunziato sitting right by my side. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're a first-time listener, we welcome you. And if you're one of our regular listeners, thank you. We love you. Thank you because you continue to be on this journey with us. And we wanted to talk a little bit about Daniel Radcliffe, aka Harry Potter. Yeah, there was an article that came out on him regarding talking about his addiction with alcohol, and we thought it was such a great article, a lot of great information in the article, and we thought that it would be great to share it with you. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, he was actually addicted to a lot of things.
Yes, he was.
That he had to turn his life around from.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it would be interesting because there's a lot of people dealing with addiction out there, and a lot of people smoking, and a lot of people drinking alcohol, and
Yes.
I just thought it would be helpful to talk about, a success story.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times these young actors, I mean, he was a very young actor,
Mm-hmm.
obviously thrown into the limelight at a very young age, and that's what he admitted to. Like, he just admitted to that he got thrown into this world of, stress and being an adult too soon, and he ended up, smoking and drinking and things like that just to help kind of get him by. In those situations, a lot of times you see those young actors not succeeding
Right.
with getting out of their addiction. So
Right.
it's nice to see his success story and getting out from underneath that.
It is, yeah. And it's actually pretty humbling to see the numbers that were quoted from the World Health Organization. There were some numbers quoted. 1.25 billion people age 15 and above use tobacco. 400 million adults addicted to alcohol. I mean, those are staggering numbers,
Pretty sure there's more than 400
Yeah.
million people addicted to
It's that did seem a little low.
Low, yeah.
Actually, I had to go back and read it because I was
Yeah.
like, wait, did they mean 1.25 billion on alcohol? It's a huge issue. I mean, look, we all have stress in our lives. Everybody, nobody is exempt. If there is someone, I would
Please let us know.
let us know.
Yes.
I think in general, everybody has stress in their life, and we, try to find ways to deal with the stress, to cope with it. And yes, I mean, alcohol and tobacco are, probably the two most common, in addition to multiple other substances out there. And, and it's a real thing. The disease that results, the diseases that can result from this are real. Not to mention just the disease of addiction and dying from the addiction, like an overdose.
The numbers that you mentioned earlier, that the 1.25 billion people age 15 and over with smoking results in 8 million deaths a year. And then the alcohol results in 2.6 million deaths each year. So it's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And it truly is addiction. The body is having to deal with repeated stress. It's psychological, it's emotional. They were describing about that urge to drink and smoke that just continues because now you've had stress and alteration of the brain pathways. Those are all involved. So it's not like, well, I can quit whenever. I'm just doing this, just one drink here, one drink there. It really is an issue. So let's talk a little bit about what does happen to the body when somebody commits to recovery, like Harry Potter did. He committed to the recovery. We'll talk, a little bit more about things that he did. But let's talk about the liver. I mean, the liver is a huge organ in our body. One of the functions of the liver is detoxification of toxins, and we are exposed to, over 200,000 toxins, things that we ingest, food, beverage, things that we inhale in the air, creams, lotions, perfumes, you name it. We're exposed to all that. But specifically talking about alcohol and tobacco, there are so many toxins that result from that. As cigarettes are smoked, there are toxins, the vapors.
And those things run through the liver.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people think they know that alcohol, right, would go through the liver, but they don't necessarily think that if they're smoking a cigarette or vaping nicotine, that's going through the liver.
Yeah.
And they have to realize that every single thing they're putting into their body, no matter how they're putting it in, is going to go through the liver.
Exactly.
So the liver is going to get hit very hard.
Yeah, and your liver, is working very hard all the time to detox. But what happens is that it ends up getting overwhelmed. You end up getting oxidative stress, metabolic and oxidative stress to the liver, which maybe some of you are like, okay, what does that mean? I mean, basically, your liver produces molecules to help detoxify, okay? But when it gets overwhelmed, you get the formation of what they call these free radicals. Those are not good because those free radicals end up going and stealing electrons from some of the healthy cells and basically destroying those cells, okay? And that's what's called oxidative stress. So basically, it's just damage to the cells of the liver. So now you've got a liver that's getting very burdened. It's not able to keep up with all the detoxifying. Now you start to develop damaged cells. You have inflammation, which develops chronic inflammation. You have the development of fatty liver.
The first step is fatty liver for most people in terms of diagnosis.
Well, but before you get fatty liver, you actually get the inflammation. You get inflammation that is throughout the liver. And then, and the liver is trying to recover. And then little by little, as it gets backed up and it's not able to recover from this chronic inflammation, then you start getting the development of fatty liver, which now you've got these fatty cells in the liver can then become even more inflamed. So now you've got this chronic inflammation going on, can develop scar tissue.
And that's leading to cirrhosis.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, ultimately, if you don't take care of your fatty liver and you continue to do damage to the liver, it ultimately means cirrhosis of the liver, which could lead to death.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And this inflammation, it's not only in the liver, but you've got inflammation going on now, especially with the tobacco products, with the smoking in your lungs. You've got inflammation in your blood vessels, the heart. I mean, everything is being affected.
Everything gets inflamed.
Everything gets inflamed.
Yeah, they were talking about even in the brain, your frontal cortex, the way we make decisions, that gets affected and gets inflamed. And so it's almost like this catch-22. Because we're damaging it due to the alcohol and tobacco, we can't make healthy decisions to stop.
Exactly.
Which is why it is so hard to stop and why these things are so addicting, because every time we ingest some of those altering things, it's altering our decision making.
Right.
So it makes it difficult for us to make healthy decisions for ourselves. So, yeah. And so a couple of the things that they talked about was, if you stop drinking alcohol, there was some things that they said that within 24 hours of committing to stopping drinking alcohol, the inflammation begins to reduce within 24 hours. I mean, just right then and there. And then in 2 to 4 weeks, it stated that there is visible fat reduction in the liver. So the liver, that's the one cool thing about the liver, is that it can heal itself.
Yeah,
there's not many organs like that.
It's an organ where it can regenerate.
Right, it can repair.
Regenerate.
Oh, I guess there is a point where it is too late to regenerate the liver, but if you've been diagnosed with fatty liver, you can make an effort to reverse that.
Exactly. Yeah. We were talking about the effects of like alcohol and how the cells get damaged. But one thing that you have to remember with alcohol, that it is a direct toxin. Okay? It's called a hepatotoxin. That just means it's a direct toxin. So the minute that you drink alcohol, you've got that toxicity of the alcohol, and you can feel it, because a lot of people will say
it burns.
It burns. Okay, that's because you're drinking something that is, like it's a direct toxin. So it's going to affect the lining as you're drinking it, the lining in your esophagus, your stomach, and then now you've got it going into your liver, but it's a direct toxin. And so by just eliminating that toxin, you are doing yourself a huge favor. Like Tina said, like you can cut down on that inflammation just because you've stopped it, and that's not even talking about the cell damage that occurs in that process reversing. Through the years of taking care of thousands of people with fatty liver, one thing that people would ask is, well, how much alcohol can I drink? That's always the big question. I have always felt that if you had fatty liver, there was no amount or small amount of alcohol that you could drink that was okay.
Yeah.
My philosophy on that was zero.
Right.
Zero alcohol, because you already have a damaged liver. So why would you put something into you that could potentially further that damage?
Right.
And and there are recommendations out there, and they say that you can have 1 drink a day of moderate ingestion of alcohol. Well, what is moderate? Well, they're saying 1 drink a day for women, 2 drinks a day for men. And what is that drink? Well, that drink would be like 12 ounces of alcohol, 5 ounces of wine, and 1.5 ounces of a hard, like of a
liquor.
Spirit, of
Hard
a liquor. Of hard liquor.
That seems like a lot.
To me, that
Every
has
day?
always seemed like
Drinking
a lot.
every day still seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But,
And and again, it just depends on the person. Like, you don't know really what's going on in their body, and so it's hard to just make a blanket recommendation like that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that Daniel Radcliffe did to help his urges, every time he felt an urge, he'd work out, which that's something positive to do
Right.
for yourself. So, which is why apparently he looks so buff right now. I mean, trying to find a healthy habit to replace with an unhealthy habit is one thing that he did. So the other thing that Daniel Radcliffe did was he remembered how much he loved to read, and he started reading again, which again is also really good for, we were just talking about the brain issues, kind of resetting that prefrontal cortex, rewiring those neural pathways for making good choices, the dopamine, making sure that we're rewiring the ability for dopamine to work as it was intended to work in the body. So he started reading again, which again, another healthy habit,
Right.
to try to replace an unhealthy habit.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And it's true. You do have to, our brain is so like crazy, amazing, powerful. But the good thing is that you can reset it, you can retrain it.
That's right.
But it does take discipline.
It does.
It takes discipline
Yes.
because when you are thinking of doing something that may not be the best thing for you, you have to literally be aware of it, make a decision like, I've got to do something different.
Exactly.
And you have to have some stuff that you can do. Like for him was reading
Right.
and fitness.
Right.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the heart and the lungs and how those can recover when you stop smoking. Okay, because we talked a little bit about the vapors early on, and we talked about also the heart and the damage that can also occur to the heart just from the chronic inflammation. One very cool thing is that within 20 minutes of discontinuing smoking, the heart rate and blood pressure begin to normalize, which is actually pretty awesome. And then within 2 to 12 weeks of quitting smoking, your blood circulation is better. Your exercise tolerance is better. All these things are slowly improving over the course of those weeks. With regards to the lungs, it could take, depending on how long you've been smoking, it could take several months, maybe even longer. In this article, they were quoting 1 to 9 months for the lungs to really get back to a normal function. You're clearing out mucus. Just think of all the collection of mucus that's been occurring in the lungs with all those vapors that have been going in. And in general, like one of the biggest impacts that you can just have on your lungs and on your heart and your liver when you quit smoking, when you quit alcohol intake, is just that relief of the oxidative stress that's been being put on these organs during all that time of ingesting these products. So That's very significant.
So a couple of the other things that Daniel Radcliffe did was he went on really long walks. So that goes, to what we were talking about with his physical activity. But I guess anytime he felt an urge, he would go on a really long walk, even up to 5 hours. Now, I don't know how many of us have time to take a 5-hour walk like he might, but I thought that was interesting. Yeah. He also said that he watched quiz shows whenever he felt, like he needed to do something that went back to his addictive ways. And it was interesting to learn about how watching shows like that and having cognitive engagement is really important, again, for not only physical distraction, but also rewiring the brain. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But if you're having issues with addiction, there is a toll-free number that you can call for help. The number is 1-800-662-HELP. So 1-800-662-HELP. That's 4357. If you're having issues and want help and need help, please reach out, and they have a lot of resources where they can help you. But you can also maybe do some of the things that Daniel Radcliffe did and try to move things in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode. And if you haven't connected with us, please connect. You can find us on our website, drlizcruz.com, and you can sign up for a newsletter. And if you haven't rated us, please rate us. Give us a 5. It'll help other people to find us faster. And lastly, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato. To learn more about their revolutionary products and services, go online to www.drlizcruz.com.